What if the glass of water sitting on your nightstand right now is doing less for you than you think? Not because there's anything wrong with it, but because it's missing one ingredient your body needs to make the exact molecule behind a strong stream and a strong erection. Researchers have measured a jump in blood nitric oxide levels within about 3 hours of adding a specific root vegetable to a glass of water. No pill, no prescription. I'm 83 and I still drink my water with something added to it every single day because at my age I've learned plain isn't always enough, and that one small change is part of why I sleep through most nights and still feel like a husband, not just a roommate. Let me show you exactly what that missing ingredient is. For years I drank water like it was a chore to check off, 8 glasses, plain, straight from the tap, because someone once told me that's what a healthy man does after 50. Meanwhile, night after night, I was up 2, 3, 4 times, standing there waiting on a stream that came out weaker than it used to. And in the daytime hours that had nothing to do with the bathroom, I was quietly avoiding my own wife. Not because I didn't love her, because I was scared of disappointing her again, the way I had the last few times we'd tried. I told myself both things were separate. Bad luck on one side, bad plumbing on the other, both just part of turning 80. Nobody in a white coat ever sat me down and said otherwise. My doctor had my blood pressure to check, my prostate numbers to review, and about 8 minutes total to do it in. There wasn't room in that appointment for the actual mechanism connecting my nights to my marriage. So here's the 8 minutes nobody gave me. Both a strong urine stream and a strong erection depend on the same thing happening in your blood vessels. The smooth muscle lining those vessels has to relax and widen so blood, or in the bladder's case, the surrounding tissue, gets proper circulation and support. The molecule that tells that muscle to relax is nitric oxide, and its role in dilating blood vessels is well established enough in medicine that the scientists who discovered how it worked were awarded a Nobel Prize for it. Your body makes nitric oxide from a compound called dietary nitrate. And here's the piece that surprised me most. Plain water contains essentially none of it. You can drink it by the gallon and you're not feeding that pathway at all. Meanwhile, an enlarged prostate is already squeezing the tube your urine has to pass through, and that same crowded, under-circulated tissue sits inches from the blood vessels an erection depends on. When the nitric oxide supply is already thin, both systems are running on less support than they need, which is exactly why the stream and the bedroom seem to fail on the same weeks, the same months, sometimes the same nights. For 11 years, the bathroom ran my nights. Up at midnight, up at 2, up again at 5, a weak little stream each time and never quite empty. I'd lie there staring at the ceiling, knowing I'd drag through the next day half awake. I thought it was just age. It wasn't. Here's what no one ever sat me down to explain. The prostate crowds the channel your urine runs through, so the bladder never fully drains, it just fills right back up within the hour. That's why you go and go again. It was never weakness. It was never getting old. And the pills they kept handing me, they left me dizzy every time I stood, gave me that strange, dry finish where almost nothing came, and the nights never changed. But there is a gentle way to help that bladder empty the way it's meant to, without any of that. At 83, I finally sleep through the night again. I'll show you exactly what in this video, and if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. Beets are one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrate of any common vegetable. Researchers giving people beetroot juice have documented measurable increases in blood nitric oxide markers within a few hours of drinking it, along with drops in blood pressure consistent with those vessels actually relaxing the way they're supposed to. That's not a theory about detoxing or cleansing, it's a direct chemical pathway. Nitrate from the beet gets converted step by step in your body into nitrite, and then into nitric oxide itself, the same molecule that opens the door for blood flow into tissue that needs it. So instead of a plain glass of water, I add a spoonful of beet juice concentrate or beetroot powder to mine most mornings. It turns my water a deep red, it barely changes the taste once you're used to it, and it costs about as much as your coffee. I do want to be honest about the boundaries here. This is not a substitute for whatever your doctor already has you on for blood pressure or your prostate. Talk to him before adding a nitrate-rich supplement to your routine, especially if you're on nitrate-based heart medication, because combining the two can lower blood pressure more than either one alone. What I'm describing is support, not replacement, and beets work better as part of a system than alone. Alongside the beet water, I stopped drinking anything with caffeine after early afternoon, since it acts as a bladder irritant and a diuretic right when I don't need extra fluid moving through me. I also started elevating my legs most late afternoons for about 20 minutes. Fluid that collects in your legs during the day gets pulled back into circulation the moment you lie flat at night, which researchers have linked directly to nighttime bathroom trips. So I moved that fluid earlier instead of letting it show up at 2 a.m. And I trimmed the salt out of my evening meals specifically because higher sodium intake has been tied directly to more frequent nighttime urination in people who cut back and measured the difference. Beet water for the nitric oxide pathway, less caffeine and salt to calm the irritation, legs up to manage the fluid timing, 4 angles on the same underlying circulation. I'm not precise about any of it. A spoonful in the morning glass, coffee cut off after lunch, one show with my feet up before dinner. It took maybe 2 weeks before it stopped feeling like a chore and started just being how I drink water now. These days, my wife wakes up next to a husband who reaches for her first, not one who quietly rolls away and hopes she doesn't notice. Last week, we went dancing at my granddaughter's wedding, 3 hours on my feet, no bathroom breaks, nothing on my mind but the music. There's a man named Melvin, 69, a retired school teacher outside Charlotte, who told me he'd started keeping a bottle of water by his recliner and nothing else. No beets, no changes, just water, for almost 15 years, because that's what he'd always been told was healthy. When he added beet powder to his morning glass, he said the difference in his stream showed up within a couple of weeks, and the difference in his confidence with his wife took a little longer, closer to 2 months. I'm not promising you his exact timeline. Every man's circulation responds at its own pace, and Melvin was already on blood pressure medication his doctor was actively managing throughout. I'm telling you because his 15 years of plain water with nothing to show for it is a story I've heard more times than I can count. So here's what I use, a few drops every single morning. And let me be honest about why it works. One herb on its own nudges one thing, but your prostate answers best when several signals are calmed at the same time. The flow, the emptying, the pressure behind it. That's why what I take brings them together, concentrated, working as one, not a single ingredient hoping to do everything. Stronger stream, full emptying, quiet nights, your freedom back. And none of the trade-offs, no dizziness, no dry finish, nothing taken from you as a man. It's linked right under this video. Go see it for yourself. It won't replace good sleep or your own doctor. It's there to support your body. At 83, I sleep through. It is not too late for you. Here's what I want you to take from tonight. Plain water was never the enemy. It just wasn't finishing the job. Your body needs the raw material to build nitric oxide, and no amount of hydration alone hands it that material. Feed that pathway, alongside whatever your doctor already has you doing, and you're not fighting your age. You're just giving your circulation the one ingredient it was quietly missing the whole time. I think about the man who drank 8 plain glasses a day for years and still stood at 3 a.m. waiting on a weak stream, still rolled away from his own wife in the dark. And I think about the man I am now, 83, red-tinted water on the counter every morning, reaching for her first. I didn't reverse my age. I just stopped leaving out the one thing my body actually needed. If any of this sounds like the water bottle sitting next to your bed right now, tell me in the comments. Tell me how long you've been drinking it plain and not knowing why it wasn't enough. I read every single comment. And if you want the next honest breakdown like this one, subscribe, because your doctor's 8 minutes were never going to cover it.